And now we are starting a new session with Ruth from Conquest of Mythodea. You can ask how to organize big events, learn about it, and also maybe get some advices as Larp designers. So big bravo for Ruth Bitai-Balyko. And our youngest participant and Larper, Corvin. Yay!
No, it's not a problem. Hello, yeah, my name is Ruth. I'm from Life Adventure or Burgschneider Group, and yeah, this is Corvin. And since the husband had to go to the doctor, the child has to stay on me. The child, yeah, will help present this. Okay, so yeah, we have the big Larp, the Mythodea Larp, but also other events, and this is possible due to Burgschneider, because Mythodea got into financial troubles in 2018, and Burgschneider bought it in 2019 to save it from being bankrupt. So this is when I and all the others came in. We haven't been there before. And after that came Corona, so this is our first year as well. So wish us luck. But obviously we have a lot of experience with other big events. And I have been a participant at Mythodea for 12 years, so I've known the Larp. And yeah, so we have this great team of old people and new people who are, or of old team members and new team members who work together to make this happen. So I'm pretty confident that we will make it, and we have had our first big event with 1,500 people already this year, and it went smoothly, so there is hope. Okay, so yeah, Burgschneider is a group, and it has a lot of different companies. So Burgschneider is the main company. It is the costume making company. Then we have Life Adventure, who does the events and the LARPs. Then we have Skuld, that is a digital platform which sells tickets and tells stories, and it's a streaming platform. And then we have Replicator, where we transform normal costumes into digital costumes, where you can use it in the internet or in the movies or wherever you like. So we scan costumes also. Yeah, so, but everybody's here to hear about the big one, so it's Mythodea, Conquest of Mythodea. This is about, from Life Adventure. Every adventure begins with a single idea. This one started 2002, when Life Adventure was first around as a little, not yet company, and then they became bigger and bigger, and then they founded the Life Adventure Event GmbH, and then they started with the Conquest of Mythodea after the New Order series. So basically, this is the biggest LARP in the world, which is our marketing catchphrase. And it still is the biggest LARP that we know that is organized regularly. So we feel it's still true. It has over 10,000 participants, sometimes a bit less, sometimes a bit more. We manage 100 live action role-playing events or even a bit more per year. That means the campaign factions who play in the world of Mythodea, they do their events, and we read the plots and say yes or no, or help them make their events come to life. So basically that is what we do with them. And we have 4 big events ourselves that we run as the Life Adventure team. Yeah, we have thousands of players. That means thousands of hours of planning, team coordination, and logistics, with a huge variety of skills at play. So we need a big team, and to make this big event happen, I have the sneak preview for you. is our team video. And yeah, this presentation is a bit about dazzling numbers, because this is why I guess you're all here for, like, what is going on and what is the scale of this. But obviously you can ask any questions later what you're really interested in, but I try to find the interesting numbers. So we are 6 full-time employees in the event department. The company is a bit bigger and it's fast growing, but we are still 6 people fighting against the monster of conquest and all the other LARPs, because it is truly a monster, because a lot of things you couldn't imagine what can go wrong in the course of organizing this. Yeah, we have social media platforms, and so obviously Facebook groups. The largest is with 12,000 members, a bit more than 12,000 members. That is a lot of social media. I don't know if you noticed, but it takes a lot of time to manage social media, and being reachable through all the channels is a challenge, and it's sometimes a bit much, but we decided to be as open as possible, even though we're a big LARP, because we try to interact with our customers and players as much as we possibly can, and hear what they really want, because obviously we're the new guys and girls and we want to make it right without losing touch to the ground, basically. That is very, very important to us. Yeah, we have campaign play. We have 18 campaign groups and still growing. So some campaign groups have 600 to 700 players, and some have 100 or 150. So the smallest group that we allow to be a campaign faction is 100 players. And but if you have a very good reason to be smaller, then we will be forgiving with that number. Yeah, we plan over a year in advance. Obviously, locations need to be planned 3 to 4 years in advance, because sometimes farmers need to put different things on their fields because of us, so they need to plan that a lot in advance, and we just give heads up. And that has been really painful during the Corona pause, because we couldn't know when it would start again, and everybody would call us and say, can we put corn onto our fields? And we're like, please no, because we need grass. And then they were like, yeah, but that makes no money for us. And we're like, yeah, sorry. And that was really, really bad. So yeah, things happen all the time. Yeah, so more numbers, which are the most interesting, I feel, because 95% of the budget is eaten by logistics, sanitary, gastronomy, etc. So the cool experience that we all hope and that we all experience is really a really small part of the whole budget. And we moved 1.8 million euros, but we are still not rich. So basically that is a problem, because we still write red numbers. As I told you, it was even so bad that Mythodia came into financial troubles and needed to be saved in 2019. So we don't want to make that mistake again. And it really wasn't a big mistake or something, but it just happened. You know, like everything gets more expensive over the years, and if you're not quick on your feet, then it can happen, like to anybody and every size. And that is something that we all need to keep in mind when we are talking about the prices of LARPs, because it's obviously a touchy subject, but even the big ones, we cannot say, hey, yeah, awesome, just come for free. And everybody who just sets one foot on the field is pretty expensive for us, because if the toilets are not there and if the water is not drinkable, blah, 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 then that is not going to happen. And on that scale, it's obviously, always an adventure. And to be able to put 1.8 million of risk somewhere, you have to have a pretty good, solid foundation. And thank you, Burgschneider, that you did that. So, yeah, we have 400 people in our team on site, plus 100 external helpers, like paramedics and stuff. But I'll come to that later. But that is a big team. They need to eat, they need to sleep, they need to be somewhere. And most of them are not paid. Some of them are paid, but it's like really we're thankful and grateful for everyone who is helping. That is really, really cool. We have 70 tents on the premise. that means temporary structures. In German, that means fliegende Bauten. That means flying objects. And yeah, we hope that it will never fly, actually, because then we would have done something very wrong. But the people who build it, they are extra careful with that. Yeah, we have 5 heavy-duty forklifters, as you have seen in the video, and we have 15 trucks coming to our event and help us, and 10 cars move around collecting people, going shopping. So basically, we have this huge wall with car keys, and you can get the car keys from there. Yeah, we have over 1,000 T-shirts. That's important as well, because people, when they build something, it gets sweaty because we have 42 degrees in the shadow most of the time when we do that. So that is, yeah, it's a challenge as well. Yeah, we have 300 walkie-talkies. That means a huge list of people who are allowed to get a walkie-talkie, and we still have too few all the time. So we're struggling for getting it, because there are not that many companies who can rent it to you for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Normally you would have it the whole year, or you have it like much longer. But this short period of time is always critical to get all these equipment. Yeah, we put out there 7 kilometers of cable on the field, and yeah, we need a lot of people to bring that out. Yeah, more dazzling numbers now, slightly going towards the participants. And we have 40 paramedics on site, 5 ambulances, and 3 quads. So if something happens to you, there's somebody rescuing you on a pretty cool bike and bringing you towards our hospital tent. We have a new thing, because we felt that it's that it's time to address that there are some issues that would be of psychological nature or some touchy subjects, and we felt that our team isn't equipped and doesn't have the time to be exactly that help that you may need in that moment. So we created an out room where there are 5 psychologists sitting there and waiting and help you with all the psychology issues you might have, and that is as important to us, like if you break your knee or something, then that is taken care by the paramedics, and the other problems are taken care by the out room. So we feel that this is that you need that on that scale of event, but also at any LARP, obviously, it is becoming more and more important to just address problems that might not be of your expertise. So basically, we felt, let's get the pros in. Yeah, we have some cool tasks to the region, because we rent all the holiday apartments there, like all of them. So it's always like, yeah, how many do you have? Like, yeah, every, give it to me. Yes, exactly. How many do you have? Like all of them, because that is really a fight between us and our players, because the players love to sleep in that as well. If it's 42 degrees, they love to have a little apartment next to the LARP, but we need it for the team and everything else, so it's like, who is a race, who is quicker? And we have dibs already for 10 years of all the holiday apartments there. We have another cool thing, which is all of the ale benches in the region. So wooden benches is a pretty much rare thing in these weeks, and we really try to get everything we can to rent it out to our participants, to use it for our locations, to use it for team catering and stuff. But yeah, it's always pretty challenging. This year it's especially challenging, but I'm coming to that. Yeah, we have all of the firewood in the region. That is also, hey, we want to have that. And we have 6,000 cable tiles, blah, blah, blah. So obviously I could go on with a lot of small numbers now, but that is basically so you can imagine how the headquarters look and how everything needs to be planned in advance and ordered in advance, because it will not be easy to get it. Like 300 liters of lamp oil and stuff like this. So yeah. So here you can see it. This is the nice little small conquest of Mythodea. This is where the 10,000 participants are. This over here is the battlefield, the main battle area. This is where the big fights are happening. In that year we had some battlefields over there and there as well. This year we will have most of the time this in the center because we wanted to centralize it a bit. Yeah, then we have here, this is the Trost, this is the city structure where everything that is eatable and needs power and stuff is located there, and everything else is participants and NPCs. So this is how it looks, and I have another picture of it compared to the village next to it. So this is the village, and it pretty much is kind of the same size, and we have all of these parking spaces as well. So when I told you the farmers, they want to know if they should put things on their fields, we mean it quite literally because we need the space for everything. Yeah, and I told you it's 42 degrees. After the Larp, if you go to your car, it looks like post-apocalyptic Larp has happened to your car because it's a really fine black dust which is everywhere. So if you walk around there, your car is dusted and it looks like you have, I don't know, haven't visited it for 2 years or something. So yeah, that is happening there. Yeah, just a little thing about the village. It wouldn't be possible to do this event near any other village, I can tell you, because all the politicians, all the inhabitants, all the people around in the region, they love us. And I don't know how it happened, because normally nobody loves a big event. That is kind of the thing, or the nature of big events. But they love us, and they are so supportive. And if you need anything, then the farmers are, hey, do you need the truck? Or, hey, can I give you a hand with 100 meters of cable? And we're like, okay. So it's really amazing, and this is why we really hope that they will love us for a long, long time, because we try our very best. So the mayor and everybody who lives around there, they're so supportive, and I love that. That is awesome. Yeah, so we have, but also we have that experience part. We have that thing where the plot hits the players, where the story and the design hits the players. So before there was not this clear of a system, I think, but I wouldn't know because I wasn't in the system since last year. So I'm just starting to talk about how we do it now in the future. So we are 3 regie people, that means directors or something. That is me and 2 of my colleagues, and we design the experience. And then we have 200 plus playmakers, which is a mix between SLs and aware players and people who are willing to be responsible during the game and transport feelings and emotions and plot lines into their groups. So we don't have to be like SLing in a shirt all the time, like you should do this, and we don't like to railroad people into anything, but we want to be on the ground anyway, to listen closely what people are telling and wanting, and then these people are giving the message to us. And we have 40 authors helping us write the thing, and we have a lot of plot lines and storylines for every group and for every character class and for every camp and for every group that we know that they want to play. So that is basically how we try to get to them. So we have 1,500 players per field, which I showed you before. So one field has 1,500 players, so it's a bit like 6 LARPs with 1,500 players at the same time. That means in total, with the NPCs and all the other peoples, we have 10,000 participants in total, almost. And we have 5,000 to 6,000 people meet each other in each battle. That happens 3 to 4 times a day, and that is also quite impressive. We have more than 5,000 plot lines going on. Obviously, they mix and evolve, and just very quickly, we have no clue what people are doing with our plot lines, but we really try to give them the best seeds and starters we can. Yeah, we have 5 battles a day, but only 3 to 4 big battles a day. We have 8 croweries. That means like a field HQ, which is in-game, where you can put an in-game message to an imaginary master of you, basically, if you want something to happen. So this is your possibility to communicate in-game with the organizers. So if you want your artifact to be effective in the next big battle, you tell Master Redbeard, I hope that the artifact blah 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 will work next time we use it. We will try it at 2 o'clock in the big battle. And if we have time at all, then we will try to react to that. So basically we want to have this two-way communication, but yeah, it's still in the test phase, so wish us luck. Yeah, we have one outpost that is a military strategic thing where the players who want to go to the battlefield can come in. They can experience battlefield preparations in-game as opposed to wait out game till the NPCs are ready. So they have this big field where they can exercise or repair their armor or something like that and prepare. And when the NPCs are ready, then they can approach from the other side. This is very important because in the past we had a lot of complaints about waiting times. And waiting times sounds fun, but if it's 3 or 4 hours or even 6 hours of waiting time, that is really bad because people would miss each other. They would go here, then the players would be here, and it was a bit, we needed a system that could deal with that. And the biggest problem with the waiting time is the heat, because in 42 degrees in the sun, even 10 minutes is really long. So we try to make that better. So let's see if we manage. Next year I could tell you if it worked. Yeah, so we have over 500 smoke grenades because we have these paintball smoke grenades. We brought them in as a system to make the crowd go away if the battle gets too stale and if it's too heavy, because we try to break the lines. And people are kind of hard to push back once they made it to the first row and they're hot for battle. So we came in with this paintball grenade, so it's nicely visible. It makes pictures look awesome. People cannot miss it, so it's not like, I didn't know it. So they can react to that. And because we're outside, it's safe. Nobody can have really a problem with that as opposed to using it indoors or something. They're totally safe. Obviously, there are non-toxic and everything. Germany approved of this mixture, so it should be pretty okay. So we use that to make a bit of a space on the battlefield. Yeah, and obviously we have 3 storage halls with plot props and plot items. That is also a lot, but during the Corona pause, a lot of things broke, got dirty, and so we need to check this year. So when we open it, we have already tried to check it all the time, but when it's up there, you feel like, we're gonna see it on the field. So this is what we still need to find out. Yeah, so now this is basically the fun part. What can happen during organizing such a big event? And I have here the highlights for you. So this year we have a big trouble getting kitchens because of the Ukraine crisis, because the refugees came to Germany and they use all the kitchens in their camps. So kitchen trailers, kitchen equipment, everything that one needs to cook for a lot of people is A, very much expensive, B, not there anymore, and obviously the refugees have a higher priority than any event. So now what to do? So we need to improvise a lot and everything gets so much more expensive. So all the time I call people and like, hey, and they say, yeah, our prices have doubled. And I'm like, what? Sorry, what? Yeah, and this happens all the time. But we managed, we have a kitchen now, yes. And so our team won't be hungry. So that's awesome. Yeah, once we had a hurricane warning. That was also pretty awesome. But if an event our size gets a hurricane warning, that's like a major catastrophe alarm is called. So all of a sudden we had a weather truck from the government in front of our little premise. We had all the firefighters from the region there. And we were like, I'm sorry, I'm pretty sure you're pretty expensive. And everybody's like, yeah, we are. And we're like, yeah, but but we didn't call. And they were like, yeah, but there's a hurricane coming. And we're like, yeah, but who can say that for sure? So yeah, so everybody was checking constantly the weather, like all the time. It was impossible to find out. And then we were playing the risky game. We said we will keep it open. And the hurricane passed like 10 kilometers, which is nothing for a hurricane, next to us. And we were like, yes, yes. Exactly. We told the majors, now it's the time. So no, it was crazy. Same goes with fires. So last year and the year before, when we could do it, so 2019 and 18, there were a lot of fires. So the German wood was burning, like it burned there and there and there, and it burned everywhere but next to us. So we were always like checking the fire news, like, oh, is it already next to us? Is the wind changing? And this is like kind of distracting when you try to run an experience for 10,000 people. It's like, you don't need fires next to you. Obviously, the heat, I felt it should make the list because the heat is like really, really bad. But we're so used to it that we keep forgetting it sometimes. But to make people survive that with all the water they need and with the heavy armors and stuff, that is basically a challenge, and we have it all the time. So we try to remind our participants to drink and drink and drink and be in the shadows and not drink too much alcohol. But you can imagine how well that goes on the Larps. Yeah, so then we have the Eichenprozessionsspinner. It's called oak processionary moth, which means this is a highly allergic little bug that is on oak trees. And that is a huge problem in Germany, and we had like 3 times the Eichenprozessionsspinner alarm. So we try to be very careful with that, and we checked all the oaks from March. Every month we checked the oaks, and this is why we didn't get the problem, because a lot of big Larps needed to be closed down. And they had a lot of casualties, because when the wind changes and the little hairs of this goes through your Larp, then you have burns of 2nd degree on the people. So that is not cool. Yeah, and then my favorite incident is the poop incident. Because we managed to flood the whole region with poop. Because it's a very small village, and now we have 10,000 people who need to use the toilet. And so we in the beginning, we didn't know that Saturday after the end battle, people use the toilet more frequently. So they used the toilet, and they were putting it into the normal system, and it wasn't made for that. So in every region, it came out of on the streets everywhere. And into the houses as well. So yeah, so we're pretty. So we had to do a lot of gift boxes and thank you. Sorry, to make that go away. But yeah, people are still laughing about it, so that's the right spirit. Yeah. And if we do everything right, then in the end it looks like this. I don't know if we can make this a bit louder. Okay. if we obviously try to include everybody in our LARPs, and if we do everything right, then we hope everybody has the best time possible in the first week of August. And obviously, I would like to see every one of you there, because you need to add to the 10,000 people, obviously. Yeah, so if you have any questions, just shoot. I don't know if you have already gave anybody questions. If not, we can just. Yes.
I am interested in how you mentally deal with this.
Awesome.
Like,
yeah, that
you
is
seem very, very chill and balanced and everything. I would not look like this if I was doing this event.
It's in 4 weeks. Yeah, so yeah, that is a very nice question of you. So sometimes it's challenging, because if things are starting to go wrong, then you always think like, if I don't fix that, then it's a big problem. But I feel that if we do our best, then we have done whatever we could, and we have this this policy in the company that if you make a mistake, then you don't look who was guilty, but you look how to fix it, and we really live by that. So we really try to not play the blame game, and that helps us being chill. And but sometimes when social media gets a bit harsh with us or something, then obviously we are like, oh, come on, give us a break. But most of the time people are so nice, and everything they say just let us know that they care. So basically, if you see it like that, everything gets into the right perspective. Because even, I don't know, fast written comments or something are just a way of saying, hey, we care about this. And when we launched the slogan, "Welcome Home," everybody was crying and stuff like this. So yeah, so we felt pretty honored that people are so passionate about this, and that helps obviously to deal with that. Yeah.
You showed us a picture of the camps and the battlefield, but how big actually is the playing area? I mean, around the camps, etc., etc.
Yeah, I don't have that number, but it's the whole farm of that, or the big farm that there is in every field that belongs to that guy is ours. So that is pretty amazing, and it's as large as the city next to it. I don't know, Hilma, if you know the number. How big is the field? Yeah. Yeah, we have seen that already. Yeah. Yeah, so we can Google it and find the number, but I didn't look that up. But thank you, that is a thing I will totally add to this presentation. Yeah.
Let me just double check. You said your budget is 1.5 million euros, right?
No, we move 1.8 million euros. So that means it's moved around, so incoming, outgoing, and stuff. So basically, that is that.
Okay, and my question is, how long does it take to put it all up?
Yeah, that is a very good question. We start on July 23rd. That is when I go to the campground, and we leave on August 13th. So basically, that is how long it takes to build it. But the players arrive on Sunday before the event. So in-game is Wednesday evening. So the players build that cool, crazy camp things in 3 days. So that's always amazing. And we tear it down in 1 day, and then our stuff goes in the next 3 days to 4 days. So that is about the volatile nature of a LARP. Even our big event is like that.
You mentioned some very impressive numbers about people who write the game, who work on the field to prepare the game, who are directors and playmakers, etc., etc. I would like to know how many people are involved in the actual running, like, accounting, legal, and all this type of organization, how it is done through the company, department, or whatever.
Did you say accounting?
Accounting, legal, and everything like that.
So we are very lucky in the new company structure that we have this finance department or legal department in the other company, so in the Burgschneider group. So we don't have to do it all ourselves. Before that, it had to be in the team. That was quite a challenge because obviously there are gazillions of things that need to be thought of, and some people are just told to the financial services of Germany for one day that they work there, and some do for 3 weeks and stuff. So that takes a lot of work, and obviously there is a lot of money going around, like real money, like cash, you know, with the taverns and everything, and the supermarket, and people at the Larp, they don't have that many cards with them, and plus Germany has a very bad internet connection. I don't know if you've heard, but it's very bad, so we have all the troubles with paying by card, so we have a lot of cash. So we sit there like mob bosses with a lot of cash, and it flows through the machines, they count it, and it's really crazy. When you walk into that room, it's like, okay, what's going on here? I'm going to leave again. So yeah, this is happening. Yeah, so a lot of people, we have maybe 6 people in the background helping with that.
Just want to ask, is your NPCs hired at this event, or do you ask players like to volunteer for that, or they're just players who?
So the NPC ticket for on Mythodea is subvention. What's the word? So it's 20 euros in the beginning, and now the latest Staffel. What is that? So we have this. It starts with 20 and then it goes up 10 euros each after a certain NPC number is reached. So we have 55 euros, I guess, at the moment for an NPC, and which means that we as a company, we have to put a lot of money into that players, because the showers and food and everything is way more expensive than their ticket. So basically what they pay is just a bit of a hey, we want to come there thing. So I don't know if this makes sense to you, but they pay less and the players pay more to make this all happen. Yeah. But this balance is kind of in danger, because always fewer people want to do NPCing, and obviously with the corona and all the other crises in the world, everything went up so much that we have the inflation going on. So this is a problem even for the big LARPs.
Do you also have your own costume library that you're lending to NPC, or should they come as a with their own costume?
Yeah, most of the NPCs bring their own costume, or we have some deals for them, so make it really cheap, or as cheap as possible for us to give it out to them. Obviously, if you have the strict rule, you have to wear this and this and that, then we want to then we give help with the prices. If you have an NPC ticket, you get discount in the Burgschneider shop, basically for certain items. In the future, we plan on even doing more about this, but yeah, we have to start somewhere. And but that has also been in the past the case, even before the Burgschneider company bought that. It has always been like this. We had deals with LARP companies who manufacture costumes to make it possible for the NPCs to get cheap costumes or cheaper costumes. But then they put a lot of effort in it. They alter it, they change it, they modify it. So that is unpayable, and that is so awesome, because I know you know all the undead flesh. They look amazing. Yeah.
What is the minimum requirement from players? Like they have to arrive, of course, with their costume, their weapons. Do they set up their own tents? Do you provide the tents? Do they have to take care of their own food? Is it all? Do you allow them to take care of their own food?
Yes. Okay, I'm going into that. So you can come to Mythodea just as you are. If you bring money, you can buy anything you need there, because it has this big tross. But so you're required to have a minimum costume, but no weapons. So basically, you shouldn't come in your normal attire, but nobody will kick you out. I don't know if you have the wrong shoes or whatever. So obviously, we encourage people to look nice, and if you walk around, then you will feel what is the minimum thing. But this is like basically shirt, trouser, and a belt that could keep you going. So. Obviously, people can and should take care of their own food, because that is what everybody does there. It's ein Selbstverpflegerkon. That means you should take care of your own food. But we obviously have places where you can buy food, and which is pretty awesome. I might say the Barbarenspieß and stuff. Yeah, that is possible. And if you want a weapon, you can buy it there. It has to be safe. Obviously, you cannot just tape an iron bar or anything. You have to have a buffer weapon, and it has a safety check, and obviously, yeah, that happens. Yeah. Sorry, yeah. Yeah.
Because I was about to ask about the tents and the fireplaces. Like,
Yeah.
do people cook on their own, and do they set up their own? Like, do they have to, do outdoors camping basically? Like, they
Yeah.
bring everything.
Most of the people, I guess, are organized in their own group. They have their cooking person with them, or they improvise something together. Some people just have, I don't know, the typical ravioli thing in their tent. That is also happening, but you can buy for small money every meal you want in the Trost. But you can cook it on your fireplace, and that would be in front of your tent. And it's allowed to do that, but the sand, it needs to have sand underneath it, and you have to remove it later. Yeah. More questions?
Just wanted to ask another question related to that. How long does it take to weapon check everyone?
So we don't weapon check everyone.
You
We
don't weapon
believe
check.
in responsible adults. I know, but we do. And it says, or the experience tells us that it's a good thing to do so. We even go more to the giving responsibility to adults, because it is important. We could never find everybody, and so we need to rely on that. But basically, everything you do in normal life also relies on your common sense. So basically, that why would we make you let that go just because you LARP?
I have two quick questions. First, you mentioned about walkie-talkies.
Sorry?
You mentioned about walkie-talkies that you need
Yes.
to rent them,
Yes.
but why don't just buy them because it's cheaper to
Yeah, we
just
have-
buy them instead of renting them every
Yeah,
year? And
300 walkie-talkies. They, if you need it only once a year, and that on every thing, it goes bad. It breaks everything, tires, and that's really bad. So they don't work when you need it, and that is, and it's even cheaper to rent them than buy this amount of walkie-talkies, because we don't have normal little walkie-talkies, but we have the best and the biggest allowed walkie-talkies in Germany, because only the military is allowed to have bigger ones. So yeah.
And another question, there was something about the punishments to the players. For example, if someone has a weapon which is, let's say, not safe, if someone does something which is not safe in the game, what is the mechanic there?
So
Do
we
you have people to just, I don't know, take them out of the game, or beat them in the woods or something like that?
I have to think about that. No, we have SLs and people who are very aware of that, and we have. So it feels like, well, it's too big to control it, but it's not. People have to cross certain points all the time, so we can have a watchful eye there when they cross this point. And when they go to the battlefield, their weapons are in action, so we see them, and if something's unsafe, we say, hey, you, and we take the weapon out. And if you would go back, this is like, hey, and with the third thing, you're just not allowed to be on the battlefield anymore. And if you do things like that again, obviously you're not allowed on the premise anymore. But that rarely happens. I think that never happened. We didn't have to remove someone because of that from the field, because everybody wants everybody's weapon to be safe, because it could hit them. So basically it's in their own interest to make their weapons safe.
The question that actually leads after the theme of weapons, how you tackle with players' insurance and incidents, because I presume a lot of players are international. Do you have agreements with the local hospital about hosting international people with maybe not very accessible insurance?
Maybe just please, Dad, take the baby out. Thank you.
Should I repeat?
Yeah, but he's too loud and he's throwing things now. Thank you so much for doing that. Yeah, so the player insurance, that is a good point, but it's basically the own responsibility of everybody to be safe and take care of everybody else. That is the same if you play football or something with somebody. That is the same situation legally. But obviously we tell people how to do it safe. We want to give them workshops, and we are so there are not that many injuries. So I talked to the paramedics about this, and most of the time, so the most common injury on Mythodea is a wasp bite.
Okay.
Yes, and the other is a heat problem, and then we have a lot of twisted ankles because we have like the mouse holes on the field, and then we have twisted knees because people are not used to walk on uneven ground because they sit at their computers all the time. So basically the battle has really, really not that much to do with any injury. And I'm so happy you asked that question because people feel that it's dangerous. But we are trying to change the narrative a bit because we don't have any battle at Mythodea. We have only simulated play battles. And that is basically the whole difference because obviously people just pretend to battle. So, and that is something that is very important to keep in mind because the adrenaline that you feel when you see the people is real. So your body and your brain is kind of a bit of afraid, but it's not necessary to have real fear about the battlefield. But if you don't want to be hit by anything, then you shouldn't go there. That is the same if you don't like to be hit by a ball, you shouldn't play football. But it's not that dangerous. And I looked into the injury statistics of football, so that is way more dangerous than Larp. So yeah, or soccer, basically. Yeah. Yes.
I don't have a question. I just wanted to thank you on behalf of the Bulgarian delegation for applying the if they die approach. This is the correct way to manage people, and also in instilling personal responsibility in people. I think we are trying to make the world a lot safer than it normally is, and this is a destructive behavior, and you're doing the opposite, which is perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, obviously we have some critiques about that as well, but so just a bit more on that note. So we asked guys from the military, we asked guys from the police, we asked people who manage big crowds, is it unsafe what we do? Is it better to make people like take their own responsibility? And the answer was everywhere yes, make people aware and let them do their own safety thing. Obviously we shouldn't be reckless. We should make everything we can as safe as possible. But we have now this yellow bag thing, this, and this is how our SLs are shown to the people. So if you see this, or the yellow bag or anything yellow, then you know, okay, this is an organizer, team person or something. And we researched that, or we looked into the research, so yellow is the most signal color for the human eye. And if you have adrenaline, then your field of sight narrows and you see little details even better than a shirt that you try to ignore for 3 days already. So basically that is something that we had to face a lot of criticism for, but we have proven it now on the 1,500 people events. We're still researching it on the big event, but we're pretty confident that it will work. And all the experts said, yes, go with that. So this is why we feel even more confident in doing that. Yeah, that is that. Yes?
I wanted to ask about your stories and narratives, how you create them and manage them. You said that you have over 200 like game makers included in the process. How many of them are the playwrights, the story writers, and how do you structure their work?
Yeah, so that is a thing that we're still trying to figure out, because before that it has been a bit different. There was this team of authors who did that, and now we really try to get even more into the groups. So basically we made the system that worked a bit more open, which obviously brings more problems to us. So but our approach is we are going for the red line. So this is the main events happening. Then we have this sandbox kind of thing. Okay, this is how far our world goes. So this is what we as the regie and the main authors, which are 3 people, me, Lester and Julian, and some maybe 3 helpers, which write the main storyline, which we do. So that is very, very simple. Like, because imagine in Larp you have 10 seconds to give it to the person in front of you, because then it's already run away, or it's hot, or drunk people or whatever. So you have really a short time on a big event to give the story to people. So it has to be simple but interesting and obviously engaging. So that's not that easy. So we have this big red line and the fence around it. And then whatever people do inside there, they can have fun and they're totally free to do whatever they like as long as they know why they're here, because that gives them purpose and sense of being there. So this is what we have as the groundwork. And then we have groups and campaign factions. So we know, okay, this campaign faction loves, I don't know, blood rituals and big parties. So we write things for them. Then we have this campaign faction, oh, they love riddles. So basically they have their taste. And then we write for the character classes, like, okay, for healing people, like magical characters, thieves, and stuff like this. So we try to compartmentalize that. And then we go with, okay, what do people like? So they like to celebrate, they like this and that. And then we come in from the other side and say, okay, people need to sleep, they need to eat, so when is the time when they have time to do what they do? So obviously they need to wake up, so not before 8, basically. So then, okay, then it's 9, okay, they have breakfast, now it's 10, okay, now the Larp starts properly. So we have that. Oh, then there's this lunch break. They have to prepare the lunch, blah, blah. So you have these outgame factors in there as well. Obviously, on Mythodia, you have to take the ways or the walking distance into consideration as well, because they need 45 minutes from this point to that point. So if I want to have a battle in 1 hour, it's not going to happen. So I need to have it in 2 hours and make them aware of that. And that is all happening, and we have this big timetable. It's a plan for each field, and we have this big timetable for the whole event, and we have a timetable for this group, and blah, blah, blah. So we have a timetable now. And it works kind of on time. Obviously, the reality always makes it half an hour later or before, but we take all the outgame factors into consideration before we do the plan. So it's not a dreamed about timetable, like, hey, we would love to have it at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, but if it's not going to be possible at 4, then we won't plan the event there. So with 42 degrees, we won't have the main battle at noon, because nobody will live after that. So we don't do that, and stuff like this. So we are trying to do this timetable thing. And then basically we have this sheet for one plot, and it has this summary and what is the main goal, who should be taking part of this, what do you need, what is the NPC briefing, blah, 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 blah. So we have a list, and then you have this one side or maybe 2 sides of paper or sheets of paper, and then you give that to the group who needs to do the plot. And then they read it, and then they have some questions, and we answer that, and this is how it works. And obviously we have the walkie-talkies, which make us reachable for any game maker or playmaker or SL. And if my ear is ringing and I am on the battlefield or somewhere, then we have this point where all the game makers or people who have a question about the story or design or plot, they are collected there and written down due to priority, and then every 2 hours or every 1.5 hour, the guy who sits there is like, Ruth, can you please listen to all this, to the list? And if I say yes, then cool, and if not, then it's only the top priority that is told to us or to me. Yeah, this is how it works, kind of, roughly, sometimes. But yeah, we try our best, and till so far it worked.
Okay, I have a question. Maybe this wasn't presentation, but I was gone for the toys, so I want to ask about young players, because here in Poland, big events like that are too expensive for young people like me. So if it's if it's possible to play when you are young and you don't have so much money.
So there are 3 ways to attend. So you could always be an NPC, because 20 euros is kind of not that much, but if it's too much, you can always be a helper. You can be a helper. You can come and work obviously for your ticket. That is also possible. Another possibility is we have this youth camp by the Waldritter on the side. That means you can apply for that, and they are government funded. So we have like a group of youth or young people who can come, who have, I don't know, a difficult background or something that makes them special in some kind of way, and they can attend. Then we have Kids Town, which is for the kindergarten children, where they're taken care during the day hours, so the parents can go and play. Yes, so we have that. And otherwise, people organize themselves into camps and bring them with them. A new thing in the next year will be a social ticket that is still expensive, but half the price of a normal ticket. And you don't need any reason to get it. You just write us an email, hey, I want a social ticket, and you will get it. You don't need anything from the government or something like that. And the other thing is, the groups organize, and sometimes they just have 2 spare tickets. And in the future, we really want to expand on that. We want make, I don't know if you know the buy one coffee and buy another one. So we want to implement something like this, but our software is still not there. So we're trying for that, but then everybody who needs to go there should be able to. Yes.
I have a very short of a bureaucratic or philosophical question. Who are you? I mean, for your organization, for the government, the agency, are festival organizer, Larp organizer. I mean, how do you fit into the bureaucracy? I mean, if there is a sector in Germany which is simulated battle or Larp, or you are like event organizer, or
we're just a company, an event company, and we felt so Larp is in Germany. We have 3 or 4 professional Larp companies, I guess, maybe more small ones, which I'm not aware of. But it's us, and then it's Drachenfest, and then we have Epic Empires, which is I think a club or something. I don't know the structure of them. And then we have like little small companies who sell chamber Larps or something like that. So, but I think that in Germany, not that many people are just working in Larp. So that is a very unique position that we or I have. And so we're just an event company. We could do, I don't know, another festival or this Larp. Or whatever. And it's not government funded, not like in Denmark or anything. It's not there yet. But the Waldritter are trying to get government funding, so they're pretty close to the governmental money. And they try to make Larp more known. And the DLRV, the German Larp association thing, is also trying to do that. But we're not there yet. So it's only us. Yes.
I have one more question about how you use the space. I have seen the pictures, and let's say here is the battlefield, and the camps around, and it's connected to the question of George before. Yes, if I'm a player at Metodea, where would I spend my day? Around the tents? If I not go to the battlefield, do I go in that wood that is in the middle? Where do I move?
That is also a very interesting question, which obviously we try to research a lot because we want to know where the action should be. So when I came on, we didn't know exactly, and now we still don't know exactly, but I tried so we try to center it a bit. So this is our main area where you can have the battles and where you can find all the props and stuff. So, and the other things is basically player camps. But being 1,500 people on the player camp, everybody has their own special camp, the place where they gather, where they have the rituals and everything. So basically, some people never leave the tent area, like 2 feet, and then maybe to the toilets and the shower, but not everybody. So this is basically what they do. But most of them go at least once into the Tross and go for shopping or for have something to eat. And then at least most of them go at least once to the big battlefield, at least on Saturday for the end battle. So that is what we found out, or this is what we tried to ask people about. But the majority of the people, they're just running around crazy everywhere. So they're plotting and they're going to this camp and this. So I had this fitness clock on my arm, and it was crazy. I was like, I never I don't know why I still have feet. So that was really crazy, because if you have to go everywhere, that is that. So not a bicycle will help you, because obviously it's out game, but even though you organize stuff, or even while you organize stuff, you cannot, you will just die, basically. That's going on.
And I also have a question. How can we come just as a normal players? What would you recommend us? Like join a faction? Which faction when you never been there? And if you are more going into a narrative place, or just enjoy like a vacation but not for battle, like what would you recommend? Where to go? Where to start? I'm sure that many Polish players also are thinking about joining. Some probably for battle, some maybe just to be on like a festival, like so different ways. But how to start?
Yeah, so I now that you asked this question, I remember that I didn't answer properly the question of the guy in front here, because we have now a new thing that's called the Garrison Inn. This is where you can get your tent from us. It's even built up for you, so you just go in, LARP, and go home. That is cool. Obviously, it's a bit expensive, but this is how we started to bring, I don't know, Americans in or Australians in, because they fly, and that is really bad to have all this luggage with them. But if you are a normal player and don't want to spend that kind of money, then you can just basically do anything. So if I would be a new player, there are 3 ways of joining. So first is just go there, like bring a tent and read the website and come and just be there and find in-game whatever is going on. That would be a good way of joining the guilds and the trolls, because there you can be an alchemist or a magician or whatever and try everything out, and then they bring you into the big story, because their plot lines are now connected with the big plot. That is something new as well. So if you don't know what to do, you can go into the Tross and work for any guild there is, or work for anybody who say, hey, I need work, okay, I give you copper 4. And then, I don't know, you run around doing errands, and then you get a feeling of what's going on in the field. The other way is you in the internet, you ask, hey, I'm a new player, I want a group, and people are very welcoming. They're always like, hey, we need more players, and there are also international groups. Next year we start an international faction that is called Crimson Company, which is designed to take on new international players who speak English. You know that there is always somebody who speaks English. There is always a plot line who is in English, which is in English, and this is like a safe place to find plot, because sometimes you feel overwhelmed because everybody speaks German. So, but then in the camp, on each field, there is at least one international core somewhere. So on each field we have people doing that. And then there's this player initiative, they have this little signs on them which shows, hey, we are translators. So you can approach us anytime. You will not be rude or interrupt our game. We will translate anything. And they have even like language buttons, so they can use that. That is a player initiative, but obviously we try to be very welcoming to that. We have the briefings, the information briefings in bilingual now, and over time we will try to have most of everything bilingual. But this still being a German LARP, the big scenes are still in German. But small scenes are already sometimes in English.
So we can just come.
Yes, just come.
This is amazing. Thank you very much.
Why there's another
there is
question
once more, because we are running out of time, but it's okay. We will have like we are supposed to have a half-hour break, so we can just do it on the break.
You mentioned about German and English language. So how many of these 10,000 participants are foreigners?
I don't know the exact number, but
because I
know
got the impression that there are lots of international players, but since most of the LARP is in German, maybe that's not the case.
So I know about a French faction with 300 players. I know about a Danish faction with 200 players approximately. And so every we have, I don't know, we have from 30 countries or something. Everybody's coming there. I don't know about a Polish faction yet, but there are some Polish-speaking people around there. I know that, but I don't know about a big Polish faction. But yeah, and the NPCs are So the biggest groups that we have there are from Switzerland, France, and from Denmark, which is the biggest international communities. But we had 20 people from Spain last time, from Vietnam we had people, so, and obviously from America and Australia and stuff. So yeah.
So around 10%, because
That may
around
be
the
a bit
numbers.
much, but kind of, yeah. Yeah.
So do you have international NPCs or
Yes.
you have? Okay, cool.
We have few Skagen ships are even totally international, like they speak only English. That the Skagen are our Viking-esque faction, and then we have an undead faction which speaks English, and in the Black Ice there are a lot of translators as well. So, or Ivan is part of the Black Ice. Where is he? So that is that.
Thank you.
And as usual, we have a discussion rooms, and we can invite you to a very, very nice chill out room or to the garden. But now let's, Ruth, to rest a little bit. Thank you very, very much. Once more, Ruth Bitai-Balyko from Germany, Conquest of Methoda. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we are meeting at 7:30 for how to run commercial LARPs for muggles by Zero.